Hi, and welcome. My name is Phoenix Long. I am so glad to have you here today. I would like to welcome all the people who are here for our presentation for Stroke Awareness and for Mental Health Awareness Month. We have a special mind body connection special today, and we're so excited to have you all here. So, just a few things. I'm an advocate for a few positions and for a few platforms. But today, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on stroke awareness and on mental health awareness as well. And just to give you a little background, I myself am a stroke survivor. I had a stroke in August of 2020 and am on the road for recovery. It's a lifelong process, but I'm here today not to speak about my journey, but to share a special guest and to have him share his journey with you and his perspective and how his perspective helps him to journey throughout his day and make this part of his life even better than it was previous to the stroke. I take it upon myself to make sure that I can help as many people as I can, understanding what it is to go through these different things as it relates to having a stroke. And I feel like it's very important that people who are going through this journey have someone else that can hear them and that can see them in their journey as well. So, without further ado, I don't want to put this off too much longer. We have Aaron Avila, and he is the owner of Stroke TV Media, who is also the producing party for this show. And we have the pleasure of utilizing his platform. And I'm the host today, but he will be our guest. And so he has allowed me the pleasure of interviewing him. So without further ado, we'll bring him on. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Really great, Vanessa. I'm so honored to be on your show. Thank you.
Well, I am so glad that you are here. And thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to utilize your platform, to utilize your story. So I'm very excited to have you here. And just with talking with you initially when we had first met, your energy and your positivity, it radiates and it shows in what it is that you do for, for your advocacy now and for other stroke survivors as well. So I'm really excited, honestly, to hear what it is that you have to say. And I'm hoping that it resonates with some people who are also here to hear what it is that you have to say and hopefully able to implement some of these same things within their life so that they can be on a road for rebuilding, as you will say, and as we'll touch on later on in the show.
Yeah, I really appreciate
So,
that, Phoenix. Go
well,
ahead.
thank you. So let's just start because, and I know, like I said, I'd mentioned to you before, you're used to being on this side of the camera, so to speak. So what I'm allowing you to do today is just to speak very freely. So why don't you share with our audience your story and how it is that you had a stroke and how you've rebuilt from that?
Thank you. I had a brain aneurysm first back in September 2010. And then 2 weeks later, while I was in a coma, I had a pretty massive stroke. And really, my brain aneurysm was supposed to kill me, and the stroke disabled me. So they gave me the speech deficit and my paralyzed, been in wheelchair going on 12 years. Really was really I mean, talk about life changing. I mean, your whole rug, your life, the whole rug of life was taken up on my feet, and it was. I think probably the biggest thing was I lost identity. I lost it was a man.
You said your identity as a man.
Well,
Can
because
you elaborate on that? What do you mean?
as human beings, we base our value on who we are, on what we can do, our job, our physical
Sure.
abilities, base our value on that. And what kind of the reason you are here, I heard today, we're here to kind of give a different perspective, and you and I resonated with each other, and that your mind, your mental state, really is what
Mhm.
dictates your success as started by and your value. And meaning the old Henry Ford quote that says, if you think you can, what do you think you can? Both are correct. So the students of
Right.
our kids and I can't mode. I can't do what I used to. I can't do this, can't do that. Therefore, my identity and my value are not longer appropriate, no longer applicable. I have learned the complete opposite through my journey.
So then how did you manage that? Like when those different times happened within your life? How did you manage that?
Honestly, I changed the way I thought. The biggest thing about what it is that makes stroke TV media so different. When I first had my stroke, I remember laying there half paralyzed, laying in bed, trying to find stroke support groups that would help me and made me feel okay. But they all were basing their value on what they could do physically. Well, here I am, half paralyzed, laying in bed. I couldn't do it, I couldn't move. So I guess I had no value according to that way of thinking. But then I met global, when I said I met on YouTube, I met global business celebrity Jeffrey Hayzlett. And he began to speak about attitude. He began to speak about mindset. It was business oriented, but I applied it to my stroke. I started realizing I just need to change the way I think. And sure enough, I began to change the way I think, and I began to feel valuable again. I feel like I could do something, contribute to this world again.
So are there certain things, excuse me, are there certain things that you do throughout your day that you tell yourself every day, or what is it that you, as far as like your attitude, you said you changed your attitude. What is it that you do to make that different? Because like you said, you're immobile on one side of your body. So then when you look at yourself, you think, okay, I can't move. So what is it that you do mentally for yourself to make that different?
Great question, Venus. Thank you. I would say probably the biggest influence. I listen to some of the most. You got to remember, I'm in a wheelchair too. I've been in a wheelchair going on 12 years. But I've been saturating myself, just consuming hundreds of hours of content like Jeff Hayes, Think Differently, Les Brown, Pastor Rick, uh, I forgot the same typo. Wow. My still brain just glitched. Pastor Rick, and a lot of them, Steve Harvey, just changed the way I thought. So I saturated my mind with people that believe that change the way I think. And so that's how I get through my day. I start out with motivational videos and change the way I think.
Okay. And so for someone who I had mentioned to you earlier, I'm a part of quite a few support pages on like Facebook and stuff like that, trying to provide support when I can. I do see a lot of different messages that resonate with losing hope, not feeling like they're the same person, wanting to be the person that they were before. and how long that process takes. And, just like I had mentioned before, even through my different journey, I think that sometimes what we think is a linear process is not. So then sometimes you wake up and you feel really strong, but then the next day, and you could have done nothing different the day prior, you could feel really weak. You could have brain fog. You can't focus as much. And so that can be frustrating having that back and forth. When you're going through that, or when you've gone through that previously, because I know you had also mentioned, you know, being in a low space mentally, how did you come out of that?
Yeah, I would say probably because I was just so everybody knows out there. When I first had my stroke, I was suicidal. I felt like I had no hope. And really, if you're out there today, I'm telling you, your value as a person, and you have inside you your stroke, your trial, your hard time is your superpower, your story. So I
Hmm.
encourage you, like me, come on Phoenix's show and tell your story because I began to tell my story and I began to change the way I think. I stopped believing that my value as a stroke survivor was based on me recovering. I don't like that word, recovering. Recovery is really inaccurate. I believe, as True TV media, we believe that recovery should not be. Left the hospital Phoenix with leaving there, being told, I recover. Well, let me tell you out there that everybody tells a stroke survivor they're going to recover. This is no cold. This isn't a flu. This isn't broken bone. You're not
Right.
going to recover. You're going to have to rebuild your life after stroke. And I began when I get that mindset, I had to rebuild it. The only place to really start to really rebuild your life after stroke is in your mind, the way you think about
Yes.
yourself.
And that is such a good point. And that was something that really resonated with me when we had our initial conversation. Because as I've mentioned, and even as I thought early on, a lot of the posts and a lot of the different things that people had said refers back to where they were. And what people have to realize, both on the side of someone not having a stroke and people who are stroke survivors, is that your body is different. Your body's different. Your body has changed physiologically. Your brain has changed. You have brain trauma. And so then you have to relearn different things. And so the person that you were is going to be different than where you are. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. And as you mentioned, something that can be turned around and to something that is positive, like we are here today, wanting to support other people who are going through these same issues and think that they're going through them by themselves, or maybe they are. How was your support group, or and what did that entail when you were initially, like right after you had your stroke? Who was there to help you through that?
I was really fortunate, Phoenix, that I had really great family support. I did. Of course, pretty much after 11 years, I mean, it's hard to relate to. They look at me and say, I look the same, but I don't act the same. I don't talk the
Mhm.
I'm definitely different. But in the beginning, I had extremely great support, family support. They're pretty much all gone. The only ones that are with me still, my wife, my beautiful wife, Rebecca, and my amazing son, Ryan. That's really the only two there that are still left in my life. But I think probably, let me back up to a little bit and tell you how it looks stroke. Stroke is like driving a car. And it's kind of like you have a little tiny review mirror in the window, in the front window. And if you try to drive the car, always look at back. Oh, to get back the way you were. Oh, to
Hmm.
get back at the way life used to be. You'll crash a car. You're gonna crash. But if you learn to change the way you think, change the way your mind is, and start looking at the front windshield of life and drive the car to looking forward, that you have hope, that you have opportunity to really use your story as look at us right now, Phoenix. We're using our hardship as a superpower. We're impacting the world right now.
Right.
And I believe every stroke survivor out there in the world has that superpower. But again, they need to change the way they think about stroke. It does. It's a new for me. It's become a new way, a new fresh start where I can not recover for stroke because I don't believe it now. I rebuild my life after stroke and build it the way I want to. So I'm getting rid of those things I didn't like about myself, rebuilding my life the way I like it.
Right. And I have a real appreciation for um, how you referenced it. It's a second chance. It's the second chance at life. It's the second chance to touch lives. And something that I remembered reading in one of your blogs was that when the stroke occurred, that then there were a lot of different things that you recognized that you didn't appreciate, and we do that, right? We have all of these different things, and there's things that then that you take for granted. And now it's like when you had that stroke initially, it's like just walking and talking, all of these things that we just do every day very automatically, you really have to think about to actually get those things accomplished. But that analogy of utilizing a car and looking forward is such a great analogy in life, period, but especially as it pertains to a stroke survivor and not a stroke victim. So I wanted to make sure that people didn't utilize that word. We're not victims, we're survivors. And just like you said, with the superpower, something that we survive, something that we have in our life that no one else can attest to. And then we can utilize that to be, an impact on other people in the world and on other lives as well. So that's really great. I
You do.
wanted, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm just saying out there, I hear what you, it's amazing what you're saying is what I believe. That I believe that every stroke survivor, if they learn, they change the way they think, change the way they look at the stroke, and realize it's an opportunity. It's a way to use that superpower to influence the world and change the
Mhm.
impact of the world. Nobody can do it like we can.
Right. I wanted to touch more on because we're talking about this mind body connection, wanted to touch more on that and how important that is, especially as a stroke survivor. I remembered reading a reference that was talking about science versus faith. And it was saying in the realm of science that you see something and then you believe it. In the realm of faith, you have to believe it before you can see it. And I think that that's something that's very applicable, whether or not you are spiritual or not, is something that is very applicable as it pertains and when it comes to someone that has survived a stroke, because you have to, in some instances, reprogram your brain to have to move in a way and to function in a way that it was not functioning in previously, because you're lacking certain parts of your brain, so like in my stroke, the part of my brain that was affected is the part of the brain that sends messages from my brain to my body and back and forth. So then what I noticed was with like mobility, for instance, I really had to think about it or really look at like my leg if I'm wanting my leg to move. really having to look at it. Whereas some people think, okay, well then I'm just walking. They don't think that they have to think to walk, and we have to think to make these different movements. But if you don't believe that you can do those things, you won't be able to do those things, so those, you have to believe it and really see it before it will actually happen, which is the reverse, I think, of what a lot of people think. What do you think about that, as far as like that mind body connection and how important that is?
Great question. I would say it is the most important thing. It's the reason I started Stroke TV Media. It's the reason I built this movement, is because I realized how frustrating, my destiny, my ability to be valuable to society was based on the way I could move. I'm not do very well, but it was based on what I'm able to accomplish mentally and through my mind. It's limitless.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you and I can't do. So this is the way I believe it. Is that it is something, this is a journey for me that's new. This is a new way of thinking for me as a man. And so I'm not claiming to have all the answers. I'm just saying I feel there's a need within the stroke survivor community to realize that your mind, the way your mindset, the way you think about yourself is the utmost importance, and it is so important. Let me just put it this way: when you see an airplane in the air flying, that started in someone's mind. When you see someone driving a car, start with the thought. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's the same with stroke. You, like you said earlier, you have to believe you could do it to do it, meaning that as you change your mindset and you stare at your leg, like you said earlier, you can actually begin, your mind can tell you, but eventually get your leg to start moving and twitching. And I am on that journey too, just realizing how powerful this is. I think we're really, I think you and I are on the cusp, cutting edge of something that really could change stroke. Get people to believe in their mind they can do it. They will do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that completely. I was just having that conversation with someone else as well. As far as it, I don't think that we have conversations surrounding the mental aspects of stroke recovery and stroke, not recovery, but stroke awareness and stroke prevention enough. So one of the statistics that I was looking at was talking about 80% of the different preventative methods that they have. It can allow you not to have a stroke like 80% of the time, and it can ensure that up to 80%. So you think 20%, there's a 20% variance there. Where is that variance at? And so then applying that not only to making sure that you have a healthy lifestyle, and making sure that you don't smoke too much, you don't drink too much, you're eating the proper foods, all of those different things, staying active. One of those things is also making sure that you are mentally healthy, and you're avoiding too much stress, and all of these different things can also contribute to your chances of having a stroke, even if you're completely healthy. And there are a lot of instances of that. I've talked to a lot of different people who in their 20s, in their 30s, are having strokes, and are they don't know where, how it happened. And then as survivors, it's the same, really paying attention to um, your lifestyle and what it is that goes on in your mind, because that also contributes to it. Multiple people with multiple strokes. It's amazing, the different stories and the people that I've talked to, how, they could have, 2 or 3 strokes in a year. And a lot of it can be attributed to where your mind is, where you allow your mind to be in any particular instance. and how that can contribute to that.
Yeah, really, this whole mind body connection it applies to stroke survivors, but now reality, the mind is the most powerful thing any human being has. The mind is far more powerful than you or I even know. I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm learning more and more. Like I told you before, I listened to Steve Harvey, Les Brown, Jeff Hayzlett, Grant Cardone, um, Ed, just people that have transformed their life by transforming the way they think.
Mhm.
And I think if we could bring this, like I told you in the green room, I think if we could bring this thought, this way of thinking, to the stroke survivor community, we're changing, we're bringing something totally new. And I'm thinking, I, sorry, I have a swallow deficit. But I think that if we get people to stop quitting they look at strokers limiting who they are. In our reality, when stroke can be turned around, it can actually be a gateway to something big. Look at my life. Look at I'm building.
Mhm.
I'm paralyzed. I have a speech deficit. I host the Stroke of Genius podcast 2 times a week. I run Stroke TV Media. I mean, people don't know just how. I think stroke survivors around the world are some of the most strongest people I've ever met in my life, Phoenix. Really.
And I agree. I agree. We had mentioned before, and I really want to at another time touch on this, maybe in a more segmented, episode, to where we're talking just specifically about the mental aspects of it. Because just as you mentioned, I do feel like this is something that needs to be addressed more within our community, and I think a lot of people need to hear it, because I think that it would help with their rebuilding as they go through this journey. We just have a few minutes, and I wanted to, if you don't mind, I really enjoyed your story about your near death experience, and I wanted to ask you if you don't mind sharing that with the viewers.
Absolutely. I think yeah, you'd ask me what was the most life changing event that you had your brain aneurysm, your stroke. Or I had a near death experience. Out of my brain aneurysm stroke, my near death experience really was a game changer for me. It really changed my life. I mean, I can we could like we talked earlier. We do part two for the show, but I had an experience that there's far more to this life than what you could see. And I think that really, and that's where Second Chance Stroke Survivor group, Facebook group came into play, and the overall thought process of getting a second chance
Mhm.
is that near death experience that I had was really my second chance at life. I was given a second chance to rebuild myself the way I wanted, not look back, not go kind of look behind me and tell, oh, I used to do, I used to have this, I used to do that. But it was getting that second chance to do it again. I hear a bird singing now, Phoenix, and the bird just singing, chirping and singing away in the backyard. It is amazing to me. Honestly, it's
Mhm.
amazing. It's as if the crickets at night are symphony at night. I mean, I appreciate life totally differently.
Mhm. And that is amazing. That story I felt was so touching. And it's just like you as a stroke survivor, people can't relate to that unless they've been there. And so even when you were talking about this near-death experience, just to read it made me aware of, even more, it's bigger than us, right? What it is that we're trying to do, and who we're trying to affect, it's bigger than just me and bigger than just you, so it's good to see something that real, that was shared. So I really appreciate you being very vulnerable and allowing yourself to share that story with everyone.
Yeah, sure. I always had a TD Jakes. I listen to TD Jakes, and it said it's not about you. I really didn't fully understand what that meant. This show right now we're doing is not about us. It's about
Yeah,
helping others, right? Right? It's
absolutely.
really not about us. Yes. So I'm saying that if you're a survivor out there, you can get a hold of me, look me up on Facebook. You can come share your story on my podcast. I look up just hashtag stroke TV. And if you do on Facebook, it'll come up with pages of content. Hashtag stroke TV on Google. You will come up with pages of content. But I want to encourage every stroke survivor. There is hope. Stop. I know they tell you that you're going to recover, but I am telling you to tell the truth. The real truth is you're going to have to rebuild your life. You're to change the way of thinking about you. You're not going to wake up not a stroke survivor one morning. You're going to have to change the way you think and realize you've got to put in the rebuilding of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, we'll definitely revisit this topic again. Thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing yourself today, sharing your story, and sharing your platform. Again, if you're wanting more, whether you're a stroke survivor or a caregiver, if you're wanting more information or wanting to see Aaron's podcast, please tune in on Stroke TV Media, and you can probably Google it and find him anywhere, Facebook, on, of course, YouTube. And thank you again for having us here.
Oh, Peters, it was a pleasure, Liza. I hope we do a part two to this because I really enjoyed myself. Thank you. I will say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Fire. Like what you just heard? Visit c-suiteradio.com. C-Suite Radio, turning the volume up on business.